What's up, everyone? Trent here.
Along with Julia.
Welcome back to the channel, and we're talking Black Adam.
Shazam!
Say it with more emphasis, Shazam!
Shazam!
He's an anti-hero. We got to get the oomph out, and that's exactly what Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson did. He was the stoic anti-hero, the ruler of Kahndaq. It was great. Yeah. Not a perfect movie by any means, but my God, I expected to like it. I love it.
It was so much fun. I wasn't expecting to have as much fun as I did.
Yeah, well, I looked at you and you looked at me and you looked at him. And I was grinning the whole time.
You were.
Just seeing the JSA on screen, the dynamic and creative action sequences, and you were smiling the whole time as well.
Smiling the whole time. It was absolutely wall-to-wall action scenes, non-stop, like engaging the whole time. There was very few times where you could almost breathe in this movie.
And that's both a pro and a con of the movie. There was very little breathing room in terms of building the story, but we'll get into that later. We'll focus on the really good things that we enjoyed at the moment.
Yes.
We mentioned the action. Imagine the best 90s action movie. Arnie, Stallone, Seagal, Van Damme, all the big guns. This felt like one of those blockbuster action movies that we've had. And I've seen reviews say it felt like it's an outdated movie. I don't think that's the word to use.
No, not outdated. It's just it's an action film.
Yeah.
It's a superhero action film.
It takes from the classics and follows the tropes of the classics. That's both a pro and a con. But if you're looking at the action, it's dynamic, it's creative, it's energizing. You are drawn into every single thing that you're seeing. It takes, and this is going to be a big call, it takes the best parts of every superhero action movie and puts it all into one. Be it Man of Steel, be it the Quicksilver scenes in the X-Men movies.
Yeah.
It adds all of them, and you get creative fight scenes, whether it be Hawkman and Adam together, seeing Dr. Fate on screen,
that's
and
true.
his powers going.
The close-up fight scenes in this was amazing. I thought when it first started, especially with some of the slow-mo aspects to it, I thought it was going to take me out of that moment, but it actually didn't. It drew me into it, and the fact that it was consistently used in every fight scene for each different hero and villain, and those moments, it was like, cool, yes, I get to see the close-up of Hawkman getting punched in the face, or Dr. Fate holding down using the multiply bit. It was really good, and you got to see the detail in everything because they went into the detail for it.
And I think, and to me, that was when the action and the CGI was at its best, was when it was the one-on-one characters interacting with each other, because Dr. Fate's suit was motion capture. Yeah. So seeing that in action and interacting with the other characters, the CGI did lose a bit of its clarity, and the scene lost a bit of focus when it went for the broader scope. But when it was the character moments, just one-on-one, the quick pace, quick cuts, you're engaged, you're energized the whole time. And it was just wonderful. Wame Sierra did a great job directing this. And it's tough to build a new... Essentially, they're building on the existing DC universe and building towards the new one. Yeah. And it's tough to introduce a whole range of characters that you have to give to the general public who may not know who Black Adam is, who may not know who the Justice Society are, or they may have heard or seen Young Justice or the Justice League animated series.
Little tidbits of what these characters potentially are.
He did a great job of making them all interact, giving the base information that is needed, and it was really engaging throughout the entire thing, just seeing them interact with each other. And just on the characters, the costumes were amazing.
The costumes were amazing.
They were stunning.
I did not realise that Pierce Brosnan's suit was completely motion capture until literally reading in a tidbit this afternoon. Yeah. I thought that was a real suit. That CGI in those suits and those details that they added to the puffy painting that they do all through it, the slight changes in between Black Adam's suit as well.
Yeah.
Freaking stunning.
Hawkman's design, the wings, seeing the Nth Metal in action, that was just those small little details and things really added to the entire look and presentation of the characters.
I can't say how gleeful I got seeing Hawkman's wings come out completely and being completely satisfied with how it looked as well. That was a beautiful shot.
And it happened, and every time Hawkman's wings came out, you're in awe, you're in awe about a lot of the sequences because they're so big, they're so explosive and just in your face. You just get drawn into the universe. Now, on to the actual cast. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, he is fantastic. Always has been one of my favorite wrestlers and actors. I actually thought this was a bit of a challenge for him, and that may surprise some people because people are like, it's just The Rock in a suit. But The Rock is very witty, charismatic, and charming.
Definitely.
Black Adam doesn't have any of that naturally.
Yes.
It's a very stoic portrayal that relies on the nature of it being a man out of time and the environment and people that he's surrounding in to get some witty one-liners out, and that's where the humor comes from. It comes from the being out of place and the interactions with the characters, rather than The Rock relying on his natural charm and charisma. He barely smiled
through the whole thing.
He had the stern face and the little tweaks every so often of the lips to do a little smirk as he's kicking a bad guy's ass.
And he had very few one-lines as well. And when they were used as bouncing balls off other characters as well to drive that point home.
Yeah.
When you had both Black Adam, Hawkman, and Dr. Fate on the screen,
perfect. They
were some of my favorite moments in the whole movie because they were just bouncing off each other. And you got are you using sarcasm? Is that like those moments which would be really hard, I think, to portray for Dwayne because he is so charismatic.
Yeah.
And to tone that down to be like the
monotonous. Yeah, that was. The gruff voice.
Yeah.
But on the other cast, Aldous Hodge as Hawkman, I want more. Immediately.
More.
Give me more.
Give me more.
Fantastic. Had the really tough nature that Hawkman has while dealing with the moral and ethics that he had as being a hero going and dealing with this anti-hero. Mix that in with Pierce Brosnan's charm as Dr. Fate. Perfect casting. That was just perfect. All three of them on screen, as you said. It was just the dynamics that they had, the playfulness, and they just had so much chemistry. And that's where the script actually shone, was when those three were on screen.
Yep.
It didn't matter if it was exposition heavy. You're engaged the whole time because they were both all three of them were so different in how they were portraying the character.
Yeah.
And Fate and Hodge, Brosnan and Hodge stole every scene that they were in.
Yes. Oh, definitely.
And they were great. Unfortunately, we didn't get as much of Cyclone and Atom Smasher, Quintessa Swindell as Cyclone.
I would have loved more of her.
Yeah, I know, and Noah Centineo as Atom Smasher. They were great.
They were great. Sadly,
in the little bits that we got.
Sadly, so underused.
Yeah,
I found in this because I feel like if you had lifted those characters up a little bit more, it would have been really good for them because every time they were on screen, they were so good and they were so cute and
banter
adorable.
Together, it was great.
And that aspect of kind of the young heroes and are they heroes or how did their origin, and it was just so cute and I just wanted more.
And every time Cyclone was on screen using her powers, it was just stunning. Against the color palette of Kandak especially.
Yep.
The vibrancy of the costume and the way that the wind powers were working was stunning. They chose some really good contrast colors and characters to use.
They did.
With the very muted color palette that Kandak has. It's very a lot of yellows, browns, earthy colors. Earthy warm colors, and then you have the bright, vibrant JSA uniforms. And I think that played really well into making them stand out, and then having their powers on top of it.
And it portrayed that really good contrasting nature of them as well, of outsiders and that aspect as well, because Black Adam's suit fitted in very nicely with it and felt natural almost in that environment compared to the royal blues and reds of Adam Smasher.
And the canary yellow.
So good.
Yeah, but the characters and the cast were fantastic for the most part. You touched upon the JSA going to Kandak, and that's one of the things that I had a bit of in terms of the things that weren't as strong, there were some really strong themes in here that were presented and they were working towards building them up to be really big things. But I just think there was a little bit too much going on in the script to let them fully flourish. There was some great issues identified in the, what's a country that's been taken over? They're continuously being invaded and taken over by foreign entities. Then having the JSA come in and seeing the people interact with them, and the whole debate about the morality about being a hero or a villain. They were all presented. They were all there, and they're all building up. But I always just felt there was always something that happened to cut it just that little bit short.
Something cut it short and didn't allow for that point to be driven home.
Yeah.
To that level.
But they were all good themes, and they were explored to the best. They were explored to the best of their ability. I ultimately think it came down to the script. It was a very exposition-heavy script. When there wasn't action,
everyone was talking.
And they were non-stop talking. It was non-stop action and almost non-stop talking.
Yes, agreed.
It was an info dump. And I get it. You need to explain to everyone what MacGuffin item is, why it's important, the history of Black Adam. And the one thing I did actually like was the evolution of Adam's history.
Yes.
And seeing that slowly revealed throughout.
Yes, that was one of the really good points in the script aspect I found as well, was that building up of the truth and then the truth. And that was really good to see that. But then when you layer other stories on top of that,
it got lost in the shuffle a bit.
And it got muted a little bit because it felt like it was trying to be almost two different movies at one point.
And I would have liked it to go over even go a little bit longer, just to allow that breathing room, just to allow these themes and actually show Adam questioning the morality and see it in action, as opposed to just being told this is wrong. And then, I mean, it did allow for some humorous moments, but just that little bit of breathing room, and just to portray the inner conflict that he's having, and why it's wrong to do these things, or why it's right in the scope of Kandak.
Yeah.
And that was just a little bit of an issue that I had with the script. It just needed a little bit tightening on that, because the third act, again, it got to a point and I'm like, cool, they're gonna go with this, and then completely turn it on its head again
on it.
And it was we're going back to the very first we're dealing with the first scene that was dealt with in the movie. We're dealing with that finally.
There was so many high stakes plot points given, and at that point in the movie, you'll notice it where you're just like, what ever happened to this? And then it's like, oh, by the way, boom, 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 and you're like,
there it is.
There it is. While mildly satisfying, it felt very, we're in the third act of the movie. All this needs to be reconciled. All this needs to be finished. And it was done quite quick. It was done quite quick. The movie felt longer than what it was, but quick. Yeah,
and the way they did it, it was necessary to fill in the way they structured the movie. The characters of Adriana and Amon were very much the MacGuffin points and the story driving points and the exposition deliverers as well. They were often seen as basically there to steer the plot to where it needed to be back between the fight scenes. And I think there was a little bit of repetition in the sequencing of the fight scenes as well. They could have possibly done without to allow better growth. But all in all, Adriana and Amon are incredibly important in Black Adam lore.
Yes.
Hopefully we get to see them explored further. It's a setup movie that had a very hard task to introduce a lot of characters that people care about.
Yeah.
We got little bits of information on the JSA, which was needed, that we hopefully get explored more. There was the concept of legacy, both in Black Adam and the JSA, including, and we're not going to spoil who it is, but early in the movie, there's one of the best cameos, the best cameos in any superhero movie, and I give it 2 thumbs up. But it was great to see those characters on screen. Lorne Balfe with the score, the music added so much to every scene. It was just adrenaline pumping the whole time. And it was just something that the music added so many more layers to seeing that. I know what you're going to say.
The music definitely did add those layers.
The original score, yeah.
The original score in this is beautiful.
It is stunning. It is awesome.
The only moments I found completely taken out of the movie was when they used more commercial music. And there were just some points where I was just like, this tone of music isn't
fit.
matching the scene that's happening. It's taking me out of that moment, and I'm losing the empathy for the character or the hatred that I should be feeling. I'm like going, why are you playing this?
It didn't add energy to it, and I think a nice score would have done it.
But then there were some that did add energy to it, and you're like, yes, pop it, yes, punch him.
And
so it balanced in a way, but there were just those few moments where I was just taken out that little bit. But then that original score, beautiful, stunning.
It was a bit of a mixed bag of a movie, but if you go in wanting an action fest, a popcorn flick, then you just sit back and watch and time again. Yeah. I'm going to be watching it time and time again. I absolutely adored it and loved it. I thought it was great.
I'm easily going to rewatch this movie.
I'll probably go see it next week. But I loved it. That's shot right up there. I was engrossed the entire time, just purely on the action scenes alone.
On the action scenes alone,
it was just great. I thoroughly enjoyed every part of it. And even the criticisms that we've given, which it seems like they're significant and big, in the grand scheme, they're really not. That's us just trying to find something to give a honest, unbiased review. But no, I loved it.
I really enjoyed it. I
surprisingly
so much. I knew it was going to be fun. I didn't expect to have that much fun in it and want to go see it again.
Yeah, and see the end credit scene. My God.
See the end credit
scene. See the perfection of the end credit scene. It was great. But yeah, I loved Black Adam. I can't wait to see it again. I can't wait to see the sequels that it sets up and the universe building that it sets up. Give me more JSA. Give me more The Rock as Black Adam. Yes. Give me more Shazam. And
welcome in the new phase of the DC.
The hierarchy of power has changed, I think.
It has changed, definitely.
But I'm super keen. I'm still buzzing from it. And then we saw it yesterday. Anyway, tell us your thoughts on Black Adam in the comments below. I'm Trent.
I'm Julia.
And as always, keep it nerdy.